Hey guys, how's it going today? It is Saturday and we're experiencing some spots of rain and thunderstorms here today in Kansas City, so hopefully we can get through this video without having it pick up raining again and having to go back inside. But I wanted to come out and talk to you about something that's really special to me and something that I've talked about doing a video on for the last several weeks. And I know that we didn't have a project video here this last week, and we didn't have a kind of a standard Saturday video last week either. I've been working on something really big that's going to change the nature of my garden, and I've really been trying to make sure that I have my full focus on that, so then that way when we get around to filming, it is going to be something really awesome to share with you all. But today I wanted to talk to you about my Schwartzberry bushes. As you know, I have mentioned this a couple of times. These are something that are really fun for me to grow lately and very sweet. I've had these featured on my Instagram page a couple of times through the process of them growing, and they're really special plants to me and also to my family. These are right here. These bushes that are kind of leaning a little bit, they need to be staked, but they are amazing plants. I'm really tickled. And I want to talk a little bit about what they mean to me and a little bit about how to grow them and what to look for in your garden if you decide that you want to plant these either in the ground or in your containers. So these are actually from Germany. My family are from an ancestry called Volga Germans. So they came from Germany through Russia. They were invited by the Russian monarch at the time, I believe it was Catherine the Great, to come there and share their trades. And when they got there, they realized that the Russian people did not really want them there, and they were very horribly discriminated against. So they traveled to western Kansas and settled there after living in Russia and not really being able to make a living. And they brought with them these plants. And these are a berry bush, and they're actually a version of a nightshade. And so they get these little tiny berries on them, and I'm gonna pop the picture up right here so that way you get a little bit better focus on them, because it's a little hard to show the detail on the camera from here on this angle. They get these little tiny berries on them, and we make desserts with them. So we make pies and we make different kinds of layered pastries and that kind of thing, and they're really good. They're really good. They're kind of like a blackberry in flavor, kind of like a cross between a blueberry and a blackberry. But the one thing you want to be careful of is you cannot eat them until they are fully turned black, or that really deep purple, because they are poisonous if they're at all green. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you have pets around or if you have children. You may want to avoid planting these or make sure that you have educated them to not eat these. My dog likes to sniff at them a lot. Evidently they have some sort of smell to her that she really enjoys. I haven't noticed any smell with them, but to her there's some sort of smell. They're really easy to grow. They're very easy, and the leaves are just enormous. That's as big as my palm right there, some of those bottom leaves. Now, we had some plants like this in my family for a number of years, and through a lot of different circumstances we no longer have a active plant in the family, and I was able to find some of these seeds at Baker Creek, and they are called actually Schwartzenbeerens is what the actual seed packet is. So these are the same plant, and I started these from seed, and I planted 7 of them and I got 3 to come up. So it's a little bit hit or miss on the germination, but once they started to grow, they really started to grow. It took, I think, about 3 weeks for them to pop out of the ground, and then it was a little bit slow going, and once they hit about an inch tall, just about the length of my thumb, then they really took off, and they're like a weed almost. Actually, my granny, she's described them as kind of like a weed. They just grow all over the place, and they do spread. They will self-sow from what she's told me. So if you have these in your garden, you may want to think about either keeping them in a container or having them in a space that you want them to spread, because they will move and spread out. This one that you can see right here, this bigger one in the back, this is about how big that they get, full size. Because this is about 75 days, so you do get berries the first year, but they only get to be about 2 feet tall. They get a little bit taller in the ground, I'm told, up to maybe 3 feet tall if they're really happy, but they're not very big, and they kind of grow everywhere. The stems on these are a little bit soft. They're just now starting to brown up and get more of that woody kind of texture, so they need to be staked a little bit, but they're really susceptible to wind because the leaves are just so big. They act almost like sails or kites on them, but they're really, really hardy. They do really, really well. I've got a little bit of sunburning on this one right here, but it doesn't seem to have affected the plant at all. Now when I separated these, because I had them all in one pot, I've got these 2 big ones and I've got a smaller one that you can't see on the screen right now. They came out, and I wanted to make sure that I really rooted them down strong, so I clipped all of the blossom buds off the first round, so then that way they would really build a strong stem system. But they seem to grow in kind of a pattern like a tomato, so you do get kind of like these little suckers right here in the middle, kind of at the elbows, but it tends to be that's where the flowers are starting to bud out at. So I'm not really sure if you trim that into a single vine, if that would make a difference on your production or not with the tomato, like you would have with a tomato or not. It doesn't seem to affect it on the larger plant. It seems like it's just as strong, and it just went ahead and split at the top there and went off in 2 directions. So I haven't really done much pruning on either one of these, other than just trimming off the bud heads the first round to make sure they really rooted down right after I repotted them. So that's what I have for you guys. I thought it would be really neat to kind of show you that you could have a berry bush that would produce berries within the first year, actually within less than 100 days. These were planted at the end of February, right about the 25th, and now this is mid-May. So we're looking at less than 100 days and having berries already on the plant. So if you're looking at something that's really easy to grow and something that you could have fruit production right away, this would be something that you may want to consider. Couple of things to keep in mind with mine. These are planted in a really good quality potting soil, and they were started in potting soil with a little bit of seed start right on top just to keep it nice and fluffy. You want to plant the seeds about 1/8 of an inch below the surface in a really fine soil. So that's why I started the top layer just about the first inch or so with a seed starting soil. So that way it had a really good chance to kind of root down when you have something that plants that shallow from a seed perspective. And they also have gotten a round of earthworm tea about 2 weeks ago. About 1 week after they got repotted, I gave them a round of earthworm tea, so then that way they could have a little bit of natural fertilizer, nothing too harsh yet. And then this week I gave them their first round of kind of a 50% dialed back water soluble fertilizer. So they are getting some nutrients that way. I'm probably not going to fertilize them again for another 2 weeks just because they are still a little bit small, but since we have berries on them, they are going to start getting fertilizer on a regular basis, so that way I can start increasing that production on them. The smallest plant that I have is only about 8 inches tall right now, and so I'm still continuing to trim the berries off of it because it's still trying to produce berries even that small. I want it to continue to put on more leaf growth, really dig down and build its root ball and be a lot stronger, because the 2 bigger plants are actually going to go to others in my family that have expressed interest in having these, so these are not actually mine forever. I'm just enjoying them right now and making sure that they're going to be really strong and healthy when they go to their new homes. So I hope you guys have enjoyed being able to see these. I really enjoyed being able to grow them. They've just been a lot of fun. And the other thing I've also noticed is that pests are not really interested in them. I also sprayed them with some neem oil to make sure that I didn't have any pests, but I haven't really noticed anything really trying to eat them. The holes and the perforations that you're seeing in the leaves is actually because we had some hail, and not because I've seen any pests on them, because the leaves everywhere else are really healthy. It's just because we've had some really extreme weather here in Kansas City over the last couple of weeks while they've been outside after they got hardened off. So I hope this was interesting for you guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm gonna go ahead and continue to give you guys some progress reports here throughout the next, you know, couple of months on these, show you guys what the berries look like, give you, you know, a little bit more of a lens into this kind of plant, because it is a rather unusual plant and it's not something that you're gonna see on a regular basis. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you in the next video.